So the neural pathways that are there are what we travel on to go from one place to another without moving through time. So communication goes there in the same way that your ganglia cells, your glia cells, and your neural network in your brain works. The universe works the exact same way: as above, so below; as within, so without. So thermonuclear, anything that is electromagnetic waveform in its static, when you're exploding the atoms and you're creating a new big, big bang, you're basically creating that energy. That energy reverbs down those neural pathways of the universe, and the souls that are in direct contact with that are in human form, the soul gets out of phase, and then the people have to go to a place of healing where they have to actually heal the soul. Soul can't die, but it can be damaged. I don't know if that is what you were asking. What's this? What do you think? What do you think? Brooke says, "What do you think, Bo? You know the truth." Oh, then you were talking to somebody in the crowd, right? The archangel brain. What is this? Blessed says the archangel brain. Death to those who deserve it. Bring death to those who deserve it. Bring in the strictest sense of your conversation. You are correct, depending on where and when the archangels show up to do what they show up to do, and we'll get back to that. So Trump says, when you leave here, will we remember our family from here? Absolutely, yes. Your family that is from here on the earth, you guys usually come in family units of 3 to 10 people, sometimes three, four, five, six, seven, and you stay together in groups, right? So somebody that could be your mom in this life might have been your daughter in a past life, or your father in a past life, or your brother or your sister or something in a past life, and you guys come through and you work together to do things. If you're a wanderer who has come here with a group of people, you guys usually stay pretty set the way you are. Like Brooke and I've been mostly a man, and she's been mostly a female in the 30 lives that we've been in physical form. But not everyone. There's a few that we switched it up and took things off. But for the most part, I've been a male and she's been a female, because our higher selves, right? I'm Samael and she's Lilith. So our higher selves, our masculine and feminine, we're already split into those two aspects. Do you see? So depending on who you are as a higher self will determine whether or not, if you're here for the first time going through third dimension, you will be a man and a woman. At different times you'll be good and you'll be evil to go through all of the stuff on this planet. But if you're on this planet, you've already done that. But you could have come here to redo those things too, because you volunteered for this place. No one gets shipped here. This is not a prison. Okay, so this one says, what is this? Is astral? In astral, I have stars on the filaments of my golden waist belt. Does that mean anything to you? If you have stars on your golden waist belt, chances are you have what, three of them? If you have three stars on your belt, then that would mean that you're telling yourself that you came from Orion's belt, which then would be suggestive. If that's what you feel, so chances are that's why. How many stars do you have on your belt? Is it seven? So the amount of stars, if you only have three and they're on the belt, then I would say that you're trying to tell yourself that you came from Orion. A lot of us came from Orion. Let me know what you think on that, please, Raven, and we can get further into that. It depends on what you're trying to tell yourself, right? No, there's many in on other tools also. So you have stars on a bunch of stuff, right? Okay, wait a minute, hold on. Blessed says, okay, my friend, I have maybe your higher self can tell me what about Muslims in God's plan? Every single way of spiritual practice on this earth is identical to all the other ways. The only thing that has changed in all of those ways is that the way that originally was told to you by the prophet that came down here has now been changed by people, and that people have decided that they have a design, a way that they want you to do the thing that that person said to do. and that's what the religion is created out of. Do you see? So Muslims, in and of themselves, are the same as Christians in and of themselves. They're both religions were came from the Hebrew religion and the Book of Moses. Okay, so in one religion they say there is only one God, and that's the God Adonai that they're talking about, and Muhammad is the prophet. There is only one God, the God Adonai, and the word Adonai means he who is without name, by the way. So if anybody's going to complain about that and say, but wait, Moses spoke to God and said, who am I? He said, I am, right? So Adonai means I am. Okay, so the both of them is there is only one God, and this one is the prophet. So the religions are going to war over who the prophet is. The way that both of those persons were talking about was the same way to get to heaven. It's the same way that everybody else was. So Muslims and that Muslim religion is just another facet of any of the other religions that are on earth. All of them are a choice that is there for everybody to choose from. And what part of that religion that you believe in, Christian zealots, Muslim zealots, or non, will determine how peaceful you are and whether you discover the actual way. User 132 says, what if a family member carried out evil acts to another family member is still part of the family? Well, see, if you look at some of the semantical things about a religion, if you look at the Hebrew religion, they would say that if you did evil in a past life, you're going to have a problem in this life, and you'll be, blind or deaf, or those are things that children come up with. If you were blind or deaf or something like that in this life, it's because that's what you chose when you wrote your life. You wanted to have that difficulty. If a family member, the sins of the father, let's go to Christianity, the sins of the father, you as a person can't be held responsible for some action that somebody in your family did. That was them. They did that. You can't condemn an entire family. Some religious and part of the religious practices say that that's not the thing. You have to decide if you're going to believe that or not. In the eyes of the Creator, there is no wrong. There is just experience. If somebody does something evil, it's because they chose to do that. And that's not on you. You're an individual and you have your own individuality. You're not going to be judged by something that your father did or somebody above that. So, I mean, you could ask a cleric in one of the religions and they'll go, that's absolutely not true. If you're evil, if your forefathers were evil, you're evil forever. And that's like saying there's going to be a judgment day and that at some point God is going to judge you for what you did 30 lifetimes ago, and now you're going to go to hell for all of eternity and you can never come back. That's just not true. That's not how it works in the universe. It's just not how it works. You're not going to die and go up to this place where you're going to have some guy standing at a gate that's pearly with a big book with your name's in it. You get to come in, and if it's not, you got to go to hell. That's just not how it works. You judge you, brother, right? So Trump says, I have an M in my hand. Does that mean, what does that mean? Do you think it means the M? If you have an M in your hand, it means that you're a healer, my friend. We call that like the duck palm. Leonard is a Reiki master teacher, and I have the same. If you look, I have the it looks like a duck palm in my hand. I have that M in my hand. If you have that, it means that you're a healer. It means that you came here as a healer. More than likely, you're a starseed. You're a wanderer. You came here to actually help the people that are here, and you can identify that. And palm readers find also there's actually Archangel, Ascended Master symbols that are in the hands that people can see. If you find someone who can read palms, they can tell you that sort of stuff. But if you do have an M in your hand, you came here to help these people, and that's an identifying mark. It's one of the reasons why people want you to see your palms a lot. In a lot of the cultures, you put your hand up, you show that you don't have a weapon in it, and you put your hand out, and people want to read your hand because of that. Let's see, what else? What else? God's servant service says, what am I? Let's see if you know anything. You're a troll, because only a troll would ask that kind of question. Somebody who has ego is trying to prove something would ask that kind of question. What are you? You're an immortal soul. Let's see if you know anything. What am I? You're an immortal soul. You came here from a higher plane to have this experience. chances are 86%, let me get serious now, 86% chance that you're an angel, my friend, an ascended master, because only ascended masters and angels come to a planet like this one. This is a really hard one. But if you're trying to get specific, right? Blessed said Yahweh, Yahweh mine, right? So yeah, but if you're asking that question, you're a troll, dude. Come on. What am I could have said the same thing. That's like, I joke about that when somebody says, you're going to call one of those psychic hotlines. And I'm like, if they were real, they would call me. Right. So I've been told that a lot. Trump, right? Yeah. If you're listening to me and you've already didn't think I was crazy, and you're in this audience right now, and I hope I didn't offend you, brother, when I said that to you, that you're a troll if you asked that. And you were talking to fucking Samael, bro. Okay. So yeah, let's see what you know. I'm not trying to be mean to you. I'm just in that mood. Okay. So yeah, so you were trolling the guy above. Oh, all right. I apologize to you, bro. I didn't know that. So you were trolling the guy above. Okay, brother. Then I apologize for you for saying that. I just looked down, dude, and that's what I saw, man. So I was just answering that. You get him, right? So, so I'm just look. I'm in that mood. This is why I'm doing the Angel of Death, Samael, not the Angel. I'm not Archangel Good Guy Samael today. I'm not in that fucking mood. So I came in here to be the Angel of Death, and I'm the demon god, but I'm being honest and telling the truth. There is no bad, right? So why do we have to wait so long? We're ready now. I said the same shit, brother. I've been here in human form for 30 fucking lifetimes. Okay. And I was sitting around with my buddy Paul, who's now deceased, and he's up there, and he laughs at me because he's up there and he's still working. He's also an archangel, by the way. I'm not going to tell you who he is because you guys would kind of freak out if I start telling you everybody that I know, but I know them all. And he says, we're sitting around one time, literally sitting around a campfire, and I said, bro, when's this shit going to start? I'm tired. I've been here a long time. Right? That's the problem, brother. The problem is this place got stuck. It's supposed to be stuck. It was volunteered. You came down here, and then it got stuck. Okay? So now the rest of us are here that we're mopping up and fixing it. And we're stuck too. So some of us have been here for a really long time and we're tired, man. Right? We're tired. And the people that are here, they don't understand it. If they're here for the first time, they didn't come from the higher place to just come here to fix it. They came to be here in that, and they've been stuck. They don't know it either. And they're just like, man, I've been here a long time and it's confusing and I don't know what's going on. I want to go home. Everybody wants to go home, brother. But know this. This is the last lifetime you're going to have to be on this earth. Okay? Know that. This is the last lifetime, I promise you, that you will have to stay here unless you choose to stay here in fourth dimension or fifth dimension. You will not have to be in this scenario anymore. Okay? This is the only time in the world, in this existence of the world, that I can tell you that. Unless you die tomorrow, and then you might be reborn to come in as a little baby to see this. Right? And Azrael, you called, you rang, right? So, yeah, that's hilarious, right? We're talking in here. Yes, yeah, we're talking in here, right? So you have to realize, somebody said that about Samael. Wait a minute, so Samael's not the only angel of death. What about Azrael? How do you explain that? Azrael also does that. Not everybody is the angel of death, like not everybody is the Metatron, right? So there's many people who is the Metatron, who is the voice of God. Jesus was one of them. Listen to the Bibles; they'll tell you that, right? So some of us, it's a big job that we do, right? Some of us come from another plane of existence to come here, and some of this stuff overlaps. Archangels, angels of death, angels of demons, that sort of thing, right? In this world right now, I can tell you that I'm Samael, and Samael is an archangel of both light and darkness. So I can throw that at you and freak you the hell out, right? So how do we know how many lifetimes you live? You as a person generally in third dimension, if you were here going through the regular third dimensional trip to this world, you would be here between 7 and 10 lifetimes, and that would be it. Okay, 7 to 10 lifetimes is what it takes the average person, the average soul, to go from I think, therefore I am, to I am, therefore I think, and move up into 4D. Okay, but on this planet, It's more than that because it's an ultra stuck planet that was designed to be this really, really difficult school. So this one's longer. This one's more like 30,000 to 50,000 years, but it got stuck. Okay. So everybody's been here, unless you just came in the last few lifetimes to be one of the people that are coming here to walk on and get the trophy for being here and going through this upgrade. If you've been one of the people who've been here since the beginning, you've been here for almost 77,000 years. Okay. So normally 7 to 10 lifetimes, depending on who you are and how many and why you're here on Earth, whether you're going through third dimension for the first time, because there's a couple people that made it here to do that, or if you're going through it for the second time, or if you're a higher self that came to help. If you're a higher self that came to help, you signed on for 77,000 years and you've been here a long time, right? If they are fractals, are they more than one for each angel per, hold on, I got to do the down thing here, per incarnate at a time? That's very possible. That is very possible. If you look at the soul that was the Buddha, that was Lao Tzu, that was Jesus, that soul is the same soul that was many, many souls that were here and came like every other lifetime to be different people. So you have that. You can literally be here right now as who you are, and whether you're in service to others or in service to self, you could literally have yourself as a fracture of you as an evil person on this earth somewhere else that is living a completely different life from yours. And when you move into your higher self, you could actually tap into that person and know who that person is on earth. But if you're down here and you're veiled and you're not supposed to remember, then you won't get to know who yourself is. You could actually meet yourself and hate yourself. You could actually be trying to kill yourself and not know it. That's actually very possible. How can we speed it up? The only way that you can speed it up is to learn the lessons that you wrote down for yourself before you were born. Very simple. Pay attention to what you're doing when this matrix gives you lessons. Learn from them. That's what you came here to do. So you have to, at some point, learn that and realize, if something keeps happening to you, like tell Satan to leave, right? No, that's funny. Satan doesn't exist the way you think. I'm Satan the way you think. So literally you have to realize that you write down what it is that you want to learn, and this place gives you that opportunity. So if you're sitting there and you go, why is it that people keep dying around me? Why is it that I've lost 4 friends? I've lost 2 family members in the last 6 months. There's something about death and that experience of death. Maybe the going through the process of healing from that. I don't know. You'll have to figure that out. So you see those things keep coming up. Why is it that I keep losing my job? You're the common denominator. Figure out what it is that you're doing that's causing that. Those are the lessons that you need to learn, right? So tell Satan to leave. Satan, what you're thinking of is this battle between good and evil that you think is actually happening in your mind. It's your ego and your conscience. You're supposed to internalize that and decide which one you're going to be. But then externally, it's playing out where you have evil people and you have good people. So you have the collective consciousness of evil and the collective consciousness of good people, right? And so there's the microcosm to the macrocosm. So as below, so above, as within, so without. So what you have on Earth is you have the dynamic right now of 86% of the population being in service to others and 14% being in service to self. And of that 14%, 1% of that population controls everything. So they're trying to keep everybody in the dynamic of status quo stuck here. Okay. So telling Satan to leave, that dynamic is the yin and the yang, the Vesica Pisces, the creator, they like this scenario. So that's never going to change. Until the creator comes up with a different scenario, this is the way it's going to be in third dimension, where you're going to have good and evil. And then when you go to a different planet, the dynamic between good and evil, the percentage, like here it's 86% in service to others and 14% in service to self, that fluctuates a little bit depending on the third dimensional planet, because each logos, each solar system and planetary body makes up its own dynamic of how much evil to good ratio that they have. Evil very rarely outnumbers good, but there has to be some places where it's like 90-10 evil good, just because the universe has to have everything, and some people volunteer to go to those. I don't know if that makes sense to you. So you can speed it up, going back to that by doing that, by learning what you're supposed to learn. Don't lose the lessons, basically. Correct. You have to learn them. Identify them and learn the lessons is what you need to know. I give you a follow, finally, someone that knows. Thank you, Titus. I will follow you back. Um, that's what I'm here to tell you, right? I have come to this earth to tell you the things that are going on that are in the universe, and I've come here to do that. And in this life, I have come along with a bunch of other group of us have come here to help you guys to give you the tools that you need to get back off of here. They're here. They've been in front of you your entire existence. You just have been distracted away from them. So when people say, "How do I speed that up?" You have to be paying attention. What things am I supposed to be learning? So that means you have to pay attention to the matrix and not the distractions, the distortions. The evil people create distortions like TikTok, where you have to go flick, 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 shortening your attention span, or brainwashing you with the programming on television or the legacy news media that is distracting you away from, keeping you distracted by, you have to go to work and you need to work all these hours, then you're too tired when you go home, you just want to do nothing but brainless stuff, and you don't want, they encourage you to be alcohol and drugs, and they encourage you to get onto the social medias and all of that and waste your life, so you never learn the lessons that you're supposed to learn. That's what they do. You're supposed to learn that. You're supposed to realize that and go, what do I need to do to get out of here, man? Right? So let's see. Elzarel, I always say your name wrong, brother. Leo is very knowledgeable to everyone. Thank you. Yeah. So please support us. Hit those hearts, people. Give me those hearts, because that's what allows me to unlock stuff on TikTok so that I can then be more popular and give more people information when I come on live on TikTok. There's a game that TikTok makes us play, right? Please support me and follow me, and then give me those hearts, and I don't even know if I have the fan club that you can join enabled. I'll have to look at that. Brooke, tell me if I have that so people can do it. If not, I'll have to do it. There you go. Thank you. Right, I do have that. So join the fan club and hit those buttons for me, right? What have you done personally? What have I done personally? I have. You're talking about Leonard, or are you talking about Samael? Samael's an archangel. I've done all kinds of fucking shit. But Leonard is a religious scholar who is. I actually have. There's a book right there behind me. There's a book right there that I've published. I have 4 books that I've published. I am a minister of 4 different religions. I was knighted by the Holy Roman Catholic Church. I have a surtitle. I'm a theologian. I'm also a psychic. I teach people spirituality, non-denominational, like we've been talking about. I also teach people how to unlock your gifts. I'm a spiritual life coach. So is my wife. I'm a Reiki master teacher. I have all kinds of credentials. I used to work for federal governments, not under this name, but under 3 other names. I used to work for the United States, the English government, and the Irish government as a private contractor. I was listed as a chemist in the United States for 10 years. I don't know if that's what you were asking about. Is that what you were asking about? You can look me up. My name is still all over the internet. I have a podcast called Orion Rising that I have been teaching people for since 2017, 2016. I don't know if that's what you were asking. Yeah, I have a Merlin title. I have the title Merlin. So I'm an alchemist as well as a chemist. I don't know if that's what you were asking, but you can look in my bio and you can see the stuff, right? Trump says it feels like I have lived 2 different lives in this lifetime. Is there and then I don't see the rest of the question. Is there a reason that I feel that? Well, we go through changes. When you come in, you live, but you also may be sensing that you're split into another person that's on the earth. But we go through changes as we come in, and we're veiled. And as we evolve, even in one lifetime, you could become unveiled. You start learning the things that you're supposed to learn, and that wakes you up. You start getting downloads, and that wakes you up. When you have downloads and you start waking up, you will look at your life and you will feel that you're 2 different people, because you are now somebody that is completely different. If you start unveiling in a life, you will then re-look at your entire life. You will literally realize that you're a different person now, right? So what is that? What is that? Low Crosy? Is that how you say that? Hold on, I didn't get to read what Low Crosy said. Maybe counterpart. Yeah, it's very possible. What was the Low Crosy comment? I didn't get to see that one, Brooke, and you popped it up, and then it was there. I had a channeling experience when I was very young. How can you control what comes to thought? How can you control what comes to thought? Um, okay, so you have to have somebody who is helping you to learn how to channel properly. Wait, was that the same question, or was that a different one that you had up just now, Brooke? So when you're channeling, depending on who taught you how to channel, you have to. I was just working with a person. Some people, when they go to channel, the first thing they do. I was referring to the struggles of the distortion dynamic demonic attacks. Okay, then I'll come back to that. Okay, so leave that one up, book, for a second, and I'll come back to that one. So sometimes when people channel, they move over completely, and they let the channel take over, and they're like in the background watching, and they don't have any control. And if you do it that way, then if it works for you, that's okay. I don't teach people to do that. I teach people to do this. So I'm present at the same time that Samael is literally next to me. So if you ask a question to Leonard, I will literally start talking to you. And if you ask a question from Samael, who's also here, Samael's in my head talking right now, wanting to answer questions. So Samael will start then talking, and I'll switch back and forth. If you watch my eyes when I'm talking, that's why I keep taking off my glasses. If you watch my eyes, you can see the difference. Those people who know how to see the difference will. Those people who have the sight will see the difference in that. So you were talking about the struggles and the distortions and demonic attacks, is what you were saying, right? But that's a remote viewing. Yes. So yeah. So are you asking how you deal with that? That's when you were talking about the out of body thing, right? Is that what you were talking about? But you're done remote viewing. But have you done remote viewing? Yes, I have. I've done that a lot. I used to work for some police organizations in solving crimes psychically. And so where I would literally remote view a crime scene and then go backwards in time and find out who hurt the person. I've done that quite a few times. The last one that I did was a few years ago. There was a couple that are very popular in the United States. There was one where a man said that his daughter left and something happened to her, and then it turned out that he said that he just put her out into the garage, and then she disappeared, and he didn't know what happened to her. And the fact is that he beat her and she died, and then he went and hid her body. And I was part of the team who actually discovered. I was the one who said this is where her body is, along the railroad tracks in a blue garbage can along the railroad tracks. And the police went there and found her body, and I was the one who told them that. I was the only one that had the ability to be able to not get like really freaked out about the death of seeing, because some people can't do that even psychically, and they'll go there. Let's see, it happened spontaneous to me coming through a friend of mine. That's usually the first way you go out of body or remote view is because of that. If you have abilities, you'll get yanked out for some reason, and you'll be like, "Whoa, what just happened?" Then you need to find somebody that can help you with that. The same thing with channeling, so that you can just move over and just it's like you're literally sitting side by side, because that's the way it is. We're sitting side by side, and then as soon as you guys address Samael starts talking, and as soon as you address Leonard, I start talking. Unless I'm talking as Kelto, and then that's a different subject completely, because that's the higher self, right? So my first experience, I was pulled out of body when I was, I don't know, it was probably about 7 or 8. I was pulled out of body, and I was walking around just as my soul, and I was seeing life, and I could talk to the trees and stuff, and I was like, wow, this is what it looks like when you're not in a body looking at this stuff. And that's kind of cool, and it had been a minute since I remembered that. So we teach you how to do that, and people get scared because they're afraid they're not going to find their way back. But you have that silver cord that is attached. The creator made sure to attach a cord, like an umbilical cord, to your soul, to your body. So if you get out too long and you get lost, it'll yank you back in. That scares you when you come in. You'll be laying there sleeping, and then all of a sudden you'll come in and go boom, and you feel like you're in the air, and you land, and you're like, whoa, what the hell was that? You're freaking out. You came in too hard because you were out too long, or something happened and your body pulled you back, thinking that it was in danger, and so you woke up in the body. So yeah, that does happen, and you'll get used to it. But it's always good to try and find somebody that can help you with this stuff, right? You have to, because if you're channeling and you're moving over completely and you're in the background and you're allowing that person to channel, you have to make sure that the person you're channeling is not, negative, not self-serving. Because if you're self-serving, they're gonna be able to do things that you don't want them to do. Most of the time, if you're going to be channeling something, it's very rare that you're going to channel something evil. But a lot of people are always worried about that, and they're always going, "How do you know you're not just channeling the CIA or some deep state people in a room somewhere?" And that they're, people that are paranoid want you to believe that nobody has the ability to do anything except for talk to the CIA, right? Come on, get out of here with that. I'd like to learn how to channel. You can find people that can do that. My wife and I are going to be conducting courses. I don't know where in the world you are. We're in New South Wales, Australia, but we will be working online and doing Zoom courses. So if you don't find someone that you vibe with, look up Merlin and Maeve, look up Brooke O'Neill and myself online, and follow us and then message us, and then when we get that class together, we can work with you. We are going to do that to teach people how to do that, right? Because there's a lot of people that came here to actually do things like that. When you start sleeping and fall off, wait, I didn't see that because everything's running by. When you start sleeping and fall off when the curb, thank you, Brooke, for putting that up, and fall off the curb a few moments later, and then I hit the button and it goes back because the thing comes out, fall off the curb, that you're pulled back, and then that you're being pulled back. Yeah, if you start to go out and you get yanked back, it's either you're not trusting yourself, or your body is for some reason something happened. That the dog barks, or somebody knocked on the door. Something's pulling you back into your body. So if you pull off, and that would happen, right? So yeah, be careful what you ask for when with channeling. Yeah, you have to make sure that channeling is rough. Channeling is rough on the body. If you know Reiki, if you're a Reiki practitioner, you understand what happens when you transmute a lot of energy. When I'm done here, I'm going to have to. I have water here, and I haven't drank any, but I have water here, and I ate some food to have sugar. And after this, I will go immediately and eat, and my wife will take care of me because I will be phasing. I'll be half out of my body and half in my body still. Okay, and when you transmute that kind of energy and people come in, you burn up a lot of the water in your body, and you burn up a lot of the sugar that's in your body. So you have to be careful with that, first of all. Then you have to be careful of who you're channeling. In fact, I should take a drink. Thank you, Brooks. I should take a drink. Who you're channeling, you have to make sure that you get introduced to the right person who's waiting for you to channel. And you have to vet that entity to make sure that entity's not, in fact, evil trying to get in, right? Yes, yes, we do. Yes, we do. It's a little more difficult. I haven't done it for a while because I try not to view things. Like people say. I had somebody say to me, "So you could like come to my house and stalk me, and I wouldn't know it." Right? Even my wife did that when she was here by herself in Australia, and I was in America, and she sensed that I was watching over her, and she got on the phone with me on the video, and she was like, "You were here watching me while I was showering, weren't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, but that's not why I was there." I mean, yeah, because you're hot, but I wasn't doing that just because you. It wasn't being a peeping tom. I was actually there making sure that the energy was cleared out and I was walking the house, and she laughed, right? Come on. I'm like, no, yeah, I wouldn't do that. That's not what my primary reason for being. So people get weirded out, and they think that, that if you can remote view that you're going to spy on them like the Invisible Man, and free will, you still have free will. So if you don't want somebody to watch you, you can say no and they can't watch you, right? So nobody's like, it's not like the movies where like the devil is all powerful and can take your soul, and you have to give them permission. They have to make you afraid of them in some way or give you permission, right? So I found that I couldn't turn it off, and the entity was becoming frustrated and asked me to stop. Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. You have to learn if you're going to be channeling. You have to figure that out, right? We can also view through animals. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. So you have to realize, reading what my wife put up there. So you have to realize that you're in charge. You're in charge of you, right? And they all have to have permission to work with you, but you also have to have permission to work with whatever energy that you're working with. You have to learn if you guys can get along, and if you do get along and you're drawn to each other, then you can work together. But you also have to learn how to sever the connection. Right. If you ever watch psychics when they're doing medium work and they're talking and they'll say, okay, I'm going to clear my energy from this person's guides and higher self and family members. I'm going to clear this energy and release that energy. You have to learn how to do that, right? So do you train remote viewing? Yes, we do. I train for everything. I've been doing that on Facebook. I had a group called Psychic Reading and Development where we taught people every psychic ability for about 10 years. There was a group of us that were doing it. We just stopped doing it on Facebook recently, but we had a group that's all we did was you would come in and we would talk to you and work with you. And if you wanted to learn any kind of abilities, we were helping you learn those abilities and unlock them. Every single person that is here, you are a part of the creator. Okay, you are a part of the creator. You literally can create, which means you can unlock every ability that you can imagine that you have, and you can use those abilities. You just have to say to your higher self, to this matrix, this is what I want and this is what I want to do. Okay, isn't this a certain degree which witchcraft? Well, it depends on what you mean. The word witch used to mean wise one. It used to mean something different than you think it means today. In fact, the word hex, when someone says hex, is actually a German word that means witch. People don't know that. Hexa, it means witch. So witchcraft was a pagan, was a term that the Roman Catholic Church. Remember that I'm knighted by the Holy Roman Catholic Church. If you haven't read my bio, I'm a minister, and I have a ministry from the Universal Life Church in Phoenix, Arizona, and I was knighted by the Holy Roman Catholic Church in Rome. So I'm not coming from a standpoint of I hate the churches, right? But the church labeled everything that was not theirs as witchcraft or pagan. Um, Everything that is not, just like the Hebrews, who were Israelis, they were Hebrew and that was their religion, and everybody that was not a Hebrew was a Gentile. Okay, and everybody that is not from the Middle East is an infidel. They are somebody that is infiltrating them. So witchcraft is a term that was given to, but then there are people, Wiccans, that's a religion that was originally females, the other half of the Druid religion that was masculine and feminine originally. Now the men and women are both Druids and Wiccans. I have a priestly title, the Merlin title in the Druid religion, which is it's a priestly title just like any other, except for it has more alchemy and training for out of body stuff and shaman stuff and all of that as well. But that was originally something because of Wicca. They called it witchcraft. They said it was evil, and that because of that you need their demons and their devils, and that's just people trying to control someone from another religion that doesn't want you to expand your consciousness in any way, because our religion is the right religion, and all those other people are evil. Do you see? My younger brother is in a theological college today, right? The Druids were the lost tribe of Dan. Well, yes, and they were also, Merlin is not a person. Everyone says Merlin the magician from the Arthurian tales, but it's a title, right? But the Druids, the Druids from the Danann, the Tuatha De Danann, they were the lost tribe of the Dan from the Dudannon. They literally, they originated in Wales, in Ireland, Wales, and Scotland, where the Druids came from. I have the Green Man tattooed on my back because I am the Green Man. So no, you're right. So they came from the that's where you get the Druid title, the tribe of Dan, because they were the Tuatha De Danann. That was the Tuatha De Danann. So you have the Wiccans that come from that, and that's the feminine version of all the feminine energy, and then you had the Druids that were all masculine originally, and now they've integrated back, which is what they were supposed to do. But you know more about the Druids than most people do that you have anything to do with understanding High Brazil or High Brazil, depending on if you're English or not. So yeah, give me somebody's smash those hearts, Marcus. Follow me, brother. But yeah, the Druids were they were the Celts, that Southern Vikings that were very nature oriented, not the warlike culture. They were very nature oriented in the charm of making. You probably know the charm of making. If you do, let me know, Marcus. If you know that much about the Druids, you may know the charm of making. And then I'll ask you if you know it in the Irish and in the Welsh, which if you know what it is, and if you know it in the which language do you know it in? I can speak it in both. Right, it's almost identical. It's just a dialect. When I experienced Kundalini symptoms, I met people. I met people who could tell what was that experience. So yeah, so the Kundalini is just the masculine energy. There are two energies there. The Kundalini fire is two energies. The Celtic knotwork, it's two energies, masculine and feminine. Kundalini, Kunda buffer. Kundalini is masculine, Kunda buffer is feminine, and that Kundalini fire is the expansion of your consciousness that has to do with the Christ oil, the Christ within. It's the energy that you're drawing from the universe that you pull up through your feet, up through into your optic thalamus up here in your head, the eye of Horus, the third eye that you have. So the Kundalini symptoms, the Kundalini energy, if you know what it is, you can harness that energy and pull it on purpose and activate your chakras and pull up and then illuminate yourself and expand your consciousness. There's this Christ oil that happens within every single person that needs that Kundalini energy to the balance of the two energies to join as one. And the base of that's the sword and the stone at the base of your spine that goes up your 33 vertebrae, 33 years of Jesus, the Christ. It becomes Christed, as above, so below, right? As within, so without. How many people have the ability to see it happening in others? There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that, because what you have to realize is that 86% of the population is not from here, and they've come here from a higher plane. So everyone can have that ability if they want to learn it, but not everybody wants to learn every ability. So I don't know. There's probably about 1 million people on Earth that have that ability. There's my wife Brooke, who was in the audience, talking in the audience, and she just came in to grab my drink to fill up my drink. She's the one that's pinning everything for me in the audience, guys. She's in the other room, and she's producing me from out there and being my admin. So, how many people? There's probably about 1 million people on Earth that can see the Kundalini energy when it happens in someone else. Just like there's probably about 2 million people that can see the auras, right? How many people have the ability to see that? Oh, that's the one that. Okay, so, yeah, I met a fair few by coincidence when I was going through it. Yeah, so it depends, right? Are the Fae part of the original creation group? Yes, the Fae. You're referring to those people who are out of phase with this reality. They will be back in phase again. There's an entire set of people that moved out of phase. The Fae were part of this earth and the creation of this earth. But when the people got stuck, when the people fell and got stuck, you fell back into third dimension very hard. That's why I'm here. That's why there's so many of us that are here, and the archangels have now come to fix this place. There was a bunch of us who came anyways, but the archangels didn't know if we were going to have to expose ourselves. Well, now we are. Okay. So the Fae are here living with you, but they're in 4D now. So you don't see them. They're just at a phase with your reality. Eventually, as we move you into 4D, you're going to start seeing all of that stuff again. More people are going to see the fairykin, the wee folk, the dragons, and things like that. They're going to come back into. You're going to move into their reality. They're not going to come back into this reality, but you're gonna move into their reality because we're shifting you into 4D and 5D. So when you get there, you're going to catch back up to them because they were here with us, and the people here, the humans fell when the bad guys took control of this place and held you in 3D. And we're here restoring that balance so that you guys can move up. So when you do, you're going to see them again. Some people are already able to see them because they've already opened up enough to where they can see 4D and 5D. So I can already communicate with them and see them, and other people can. And some people get weirded out when it happens, and they go, "What was that? When did that happen?" And I knew a guy back 30 years ago that thought he was going crazy. Yeah, I met a fair few coincidence when I was going to. When you were going to what? I don't know what the rest of that is. I don't know where the rest of that is. When I'm going through, yeah, I met a few by coincidence when I was going through it. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you find this guy. His name was Ron. I don't know where he is today, but he had a shop over in California when I was living in California, and he wrote. It was called A Fairy Tale, and he wrote a book about it called A Fairy Tale. One day he could see fairies, thought he was losing his mind, thought he had gone insane, and was, and eventually they talked to him, and they convinced him, "You're not crazy," and then he was trying to help them to reestablish with people here in this world by making contact. When the Messiah awakes, so does freedom. Yeah, the masses. I'm sorry, the masses. When the masses awake, so does freedom. Yes, once what we're doing here, normally you're supposed to wake up and then you get your freedom. You wake up, you unveil, you get to leave. Okay, this place got stuck. So we have to give that back to people. And what we've decided, the creator thought it would be a good idea because we came up with this idea. What if we move them back to where they're supposed to be in 4D? What if we shift all of them instead of blowing up the planet or having a calamity? The creator went, "That's a good idea. Let's try it." So yes, there is going to be a mass awakening. It's already starting. And when that happens, then this entire societal structure is going to change, and that will be done by 2050. These are people I've met and see every now and then, right? I felt profound energy from them. Yeah, they especially if they're weak kin, right, or weak folk, then they have a completely different energy than you do, and most of them are not self-serving. Most of them are in service to others, and so the energy that you're going to get off of them is going to be 4D and 5D energy, which is very lovely energy, and without all of this negative chaos that we have here. You're still going to have ego, but the ego being in charge, like right now, the evil people are, the powers that should not be are in charge of most of the places. Yeah, no coincidences. They're in charge of most things. That is going to wane, right? Thank you, Brooke, by the way, for bringing that in. So most of that is going to wane as we shift, and they're not going to have that much control anymore, and it's gonna make them mad, but they can't do anything about it. More people that wake up, like was said in the audience, there's going to be freedom because the more people who unveil, the less people they can control or convince with their Jedi mind trick or their gaslighting. People go, "Yeah, I'm just not buying it." Right? It's like the way people are seeing AI. AI is going to come and go very fast. AI is coming in, and everybody's looking at stuff and going, "I don't even want AI in this group anymore." And we're making people now say that you created this with AI because we get annoyed. That was created with AI. Get out of here with that, right? Can you talk about the hierarchical structure of the Fae briefly? Well, it depends on it depends on the group. When you get outside hierarchical, let's start with hierarchical. What's the word? Samael's coming through now. Okay, there is only hierarchy in the caste system in third dimension. Okay, that caste system goes away very quickly when you wake up and you realize that evil people are not in charge. Evil people are in charge only when your ego is allowed. If you feed your ego, You will seek power, you will seek money, you will seek fame. Okay, that's the hierarchy, that's the caste system that you're talking about. One person in charge and everybody beneath them. It's like a pyramid scheme. It's the pyramid system where you have the high table and the little tables and the smaller tables. That's third dimension. Okay, so the Fae operate in the fourth and the fifth dimension. That hierarchy that you're talking about is different in fourth dimension and fifth dimension. It goes away and people become equal. So by the time you get to the level of an angel or an archangel, nobody's in charge. God, the creator, is the only thing in charge, and that's not even a thing that is do as I say and not as I do, kind of rule by the iron hand. That none of that is happening. So it's kind of hard because the answer to your question is no one's in charge because everyone is in the Fae. So only when the Fae was here was there a hierarchy, and anyone who tries to tell you there is a patriarchy or a hierarchy, they're applying third dimensional construct to fourth and fifth dimensional things. People here tend to do that. If you go online, you can see that they'll show you the Patal, the people who created, say, the Lyrans and the Orion Wars, and everything you see in there is always third dimensional. You see the Lyran people look like lions, and then you see the bad guy Anunnakis, and they're always bipedal humanoids, right? So that's a third dimensional construct of this place, and it's not accurate to what that was, right? So I can't see that thing that's up there. Okay, here we go. I thought Fae was two dimensional. No, 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 they were originally two dimensional, just like we were originally two dimensional. The Fae were third dimensional beings that we were able to see, and they exist in a dimension right now that's just outside of your dimensionality because they're actually phased out from you. They're not two dimension. Two dimension is like dog cat. Is a two dimensional being is someone who's not self aware. So the only hierarchy that works in there is the hierarchy of pack mentality, right? So you have like monkeys, and there's one that's in charge because they're starting to become self-aware to become humans, right? This may sound crazy. Nothing ever sounds crazy. This may sound crazy, but I feel I've witnessed a change in frequency of a man in his eyes changed. If they did, then yes. This is why I take my glasses off. Okay, this is why I do this when I'm channeling. If you see the color of my eyes and the look in my eyes when I'm just Leonard O'Neill, and then when I'm channeling and I'm talking to you as a higher being, there is a change because what's coming through to you right now, Leonard has moved over and Samael is talking to you. Okay, so if you have the sight and the ability to see the soul that is Leonard when he's talking, you'll see a difference in the look in my eyes. And the color of my eyes will also change. So if you see somebody who gets like darker eyes, that's usually because they're channeling somebody who's dark, or their higher self is evil, or they are actually evil and they're coming through that way. But unless they're a witcher and of course they drank something and then they're going to turn with the black eyes, and look out when that happens, get the fuck out of the witcher's way. I don't know if you guys have ever played that game, read the books, or watched the show, but my wife has the books and I love the show. Okay, so I apologize. Brooke, did you have something else that had popped up that I missed? So no, that's why I try to take these off, but I have to put them on. These eyes from this body are damaged and I can't read very well. So even when I'm channeling or anyone else is channeling through these eyes, I would have to change the eyes to be able to see. I can see a distance great, and I could read about this far away, but that far away, this eye can read it, but that one's blurry, right? So I would have to, focus just on one eye to read it. So it's easier for me to put on reading glasses real quick and then take them off. But I leave these off and leave my eyes open so that you can see the difference. Some people, like the guy who channels Bashir, closes his eyes. A lot of people do it that way. That bugs me when people do that because I can't see their eyes, because I like to see who's in there. But you can tell by the body language. Look at Bashir. If you met Bashir, you would know who Bashir is. Bashir is bombastic. Bashir is loud. I love Bashir. He's funny, right? So if you didn't know who Bashir was, you would go, he's just making that up. But if you ever met Bashir off-world, you would see that that's Bashir, man. And there's some people that channel some of the people that are council members that I know, and I'll watch them. There's a woman who does that, and I'll watch her, and she's channeling, and she doesn't know who she's channeling, and she's like, I'm channeling somebody from with this council, and she'll start talking in her body language, and I'm like, oh, I know that guy. I know who she's channeling, right? I've met that dude, and he talks just like that, and he's got this way about him. So you learn that kind of stuff, right? So I love Bashir too, right? Bashir is so bombastic and just a matter of fact, and he's just always, look, right? So I'm Samael. My attitude is the same, right? So Bashir is just a matter of fact. Don't be stupid, right? And so I love him to death because of that. Because don't fuck with Bashir, he'll just tell you to fuck off, and off you will fuck, right? I mean, he doesn't do that, but he could, and he would, and he has in other places. Bashir's fun. I like Bashir. Do you know the lady that channels Raphael? No, channeling. Um, I personally know Jesus's mom, Mary, and some woman who I never met channeled Mary back when Leonard was 22 years of age, and Leonard showed up to see if it was actually Mary. I didn't know the person who was channeling Mary at the time, and I don't know the soul who was the person channeling Mary. But when Mary was in there, I knew that was Mary, and I could confirm that that was really Mary. But I didn't come there to do that. I came there because I wanted to see, is this person really going to channel Mary? I'm going to check this out, right? And so then Mary came through, and I was like, Holy Mary, that's Jesus's mom. And I didn't realize that she was going to have the sight. And I was sitting there, and nobody knew who I was. And Mary came in, saw me, and came over to me. And her handlers were like, what is happening? What is going on? And she came over to me and shook my hand and said, I didn't expect to see you here. How are you doing? And we had a conversation. And then she was like, oh, I'm supposed to be channeling, aren't I? I'm supposed to be answering questions. I better get to it. And I sat down, and people around me were like, how do you know her? And I was like, I'm not here to upstage her. I was just here to see if that was really her. So everybody pay attention. And I didn't tell anybody why Mary knew me. Right. So, but we know Raphael. Yeah. So we know I could probably ask Raph, but do you know how many people channel? Even me. Well, not very many people want to channel Samael, right? Let's be serious. They're afraid of Samael because of being the king of demons and the chosen, chosen archangel, not the chosen, right? Everybody says they're the chosen. I'm the chosen one. That's a third dimensional construct. We're all the chosen one. But I'm also the angel of death and the lord of the demons, and I'm married to Lilith, the queen of demons. And so some people are afraid, they don't want to challenge me because they're afraid I'm the devil and I'm going to possess them. It's just not true. It's not how it works. But yes, no, I do know Raphael. Raphael was also down here on Earth, and he left this earthly plane a few years ago, and now he's up there doing stuff. But many people channel many people. I've seen probably just in the last 2 months, I think I've seen 8 people that are channeling Mary Magdalene. I don't know all of them. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Yeah, he is very cheeky, right? That's my wife talking in the crowd. He is cool. He's very cheeky though. Um, he has one black wing and one white wing, just so you know. One bat wing and one feathery wing because he likes the idea of the dark and the light on either side, and he laughs at me because I have black wings when I'm doing darkness, and I have white wings when I'm not. But they're golden because I like gold. Samael likes gold. I don't like gold on Earth. I only like silver down here because of the energy and the way it is. But when I'm up there, I like to run around in silver or gold armor. I like sparkles, right? I like shiny stuff, so I like people to remember that, right? So you're either going to see me as total darkness and freak you the fuck out, or you're going to go, he's so gaudy with all that gold. He is in green. He says, I don't like that. Ha ha ha. That's funny, right? Yeah, no, no. That's because I'm, yeah, with me being down here being the green man, he's like, I am not green. He would say he's gray, but he knows that there is no such thing as gray because it's a dual aspect. So he would laugh about that.